Okay, I guess I'm gonna date myself again here. Gosh.
Yo, the sound
Yeah, I
effects
was a
is crazy.
senior. I was a senior in college when Facebook came out. It's the whole. It's legit the whole. I wish the cameras could. I want y'all to see every face in this studio. They hunching over. Yeah. They got the scoliosis legs, backs all bent over. Y'all doing a whole lot. Like, that's wild. Like, look at this. Like, it's literally every single person though. Like, it's not one person in my holding me down back there. But because I can't see because the light is so mine might be laughing. I just can't see because of the light. But everybody else is cracking up. I can't see Stefan, but I see his teeth, so I know he's laughing back there.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Matt. Welcome back to another episode of the Matter of Fact podcast, man. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I just want to ask that you subscribe, like, share, comment, all of that. But most importantly, subscribe. Because we need y'all to hit that subscribe button. All right, but today, man, it's really going to be I feel like it's going to be a powerful episode because we got somebody who, like, I really admire. And so I know he's just gonna come drop wisdom, drop some gems. Like, yeah, I'm just excited. So I'm gonna just get into the intro. So our guest, first of all, he's a husband. He's a father. He's a man of faith, and he's also a doctor. He's someone who's dedicated his life to mentoring and pouring into young people through his work in higher education. But beyond the titles, he's someone who navigated adversity, identity, healing, and purpose in a real way. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to give it up for Dr. Reggie Walker.
Oh, that was a great intro.
Come on, man.
That was a great intro, man.
Come on, man.
Listen, I was like, dang, who is this guy? That was good, man. Thank you.
Reggie,
I appreciate that.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Nah, thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here, man.
Thank you, bro.
For sure.
I've always, like I said, I've always admired you from afar. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say like I don't know you, mm-hmm. but like in a way, it's like I would see you, like you come around because we have mutual friends, and mm-hmm. it's like, okay, like I'm that dude seemed dope. But as I would watch you, like just from afar, I would see like how you are with your family, how mm-hmm. you are like with your job, with the kids that you teach, and with your kids. And I'm like, yo, like he's really like a stand-up dude. And when I saw you at like What's the Word, talking and just like the wisdom you had, I'm like, yo, that guy is really like somebody who like I admire, who I would want to be like in terms of like just a black man who I feel like has established his life and really made something out of his life. So I just want to commend you and give you your flowers.
Thank you, man.
In front of the camera and just say like, yo, you making people like me like proud and inspired just by just living your life and being who you are.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. All glory to God though, because you know, it's not something that I intentionally set out to do in terms of where I saw my life and what I wanted to do with my life, and what God has now done with my life allows people to be able to, I guess, see his glory, see the fruits of the Spirit, and be able to say things like, oh, I see what you're doing. Yeah. And I think that's dope. I would like to do some of that. And, you know, I can't take credit for that because, trust me, that was not my plan to be in the space that I'm currently in. That wasn't even my plan. So, yeah.
Well,
Oh no. Listen. I get it. Listen.
I thought you saw flyers.
Right. Listen.
I didn't want to get y'all. I didn't want to cut the flow, you know.
No.
I mean, you did, but
you
like,
did.
I'm so sorry.
But you know what? That's why I love this podcast, because it's a very. We just gonna go with the flow.
We tell we
y'all authentic. That's what makes it a dope podcast to be on. So
matter of fact, we didn't even cut it out.
Don't cut that out. That's a real thing, because that's a lesson. Like you know, they teach us. I was a communication major. Radio and TV was what my bachelor's degree is in. Mm-hmm. So we would learn like, listen, you can't. No. Ain't no free promo. Like, you be mindful of that. Yeah.
But I was gonna say, I just want to be one of the people to say thank you for your yes, because you touched so many people like just me, and I'm sure you touched so many more people.
Nah, thank you. Thank you.
But before all of that, as you were saying, like, I want to go back to the beginning, like your childhood, like how you was brought up. So what was your family dynamic like in your household?
So I had a very, I guess it was a very interesting family dynamic. So I was born and raised in Trenton, New Jersey.
The gutter? The gutter? I thought you was from Newark. Like.
Oh, nah, don't do that.
Oh, damn, my fault. My bad.
Because you're going to say the gutter, and then you're going to say Trenton gutter, but then you're going to say brought up there. So if Trenton is the gutter, then what would Newark be?
Newark is like the...
Hell.
I think Newark is the mud, but like Trenton is like you bound to get shot. Like.
So again, what would happen in Newark then?
Okay, well here's my thing.
Shout out to Newark. My wife is from Newark. Weekway section of the building. My wife is from Newark. I spent 10 years up here. I lived in Irvington. I lived in East Orange. I lived in Bloomfield. So Essex County helped me down for a while. But nah, I'm from Trenton. Born and raised in Trenton.
Right, I got you.
I'm a rep Trenton all day, every day. But that was my upbringing. I grew up Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton's a very small city, and I grew up in a very small part of the city, which played a huge role in my upbringing. So I grew up in an area Trenton known as Wilbur Section, which is this very small area in an already small city. And it had a very strong reputation for being a very rough and tough part of the city. But I grew up on a small little cul-de-sac in that rough and tough part of the city, street called Faircrest Avenue. And it was a street that was filled with mainly elderly people who were raising their grandkids. Their kids lived with them, and a strong community of people who were believers and were into the faith. And so that's my environment. So in the midst of a town that was, when I left my street, it could be prostitution up at this corner, drug dealing happening on this corner, behind the street, people getting shot. But on my street, it was like its own little oasis. And so we kind of had this reputation of like, oh, y'all the Faircrest kids, because we were being raised by our parents in a different way. And it was just God using, even in the midst of an environment that people say all this bad stuff is happening, he's showing me his grace, his protection, his provision by placing me on a street within all of that operated completely different. So that's a huge part of my upbringing, because it allowed me to see the worst, but still receive the best. And it allowed me to go through life understanding that, just because bad stuff is happening doesn't mean it has to happen to me, right? Because some of my friends who lived on different streets in my neighborhood, they were experiencing things that I never experienced. And so even when, I remember going to college, people are like, oh, you from Trenton, so that means you must know about this. And I'm like, nah, I don't know about some of these things that other people know about, because my upbringing, even in the midst of all of that, was completely different. Yeah. I grew up in a single parent situation, so my father wasn't really in the picture. My mom, she had me at 17, so I had a young parent that played a role in my upbringing. Because my mom was young, she still, was living her life in the sense, I don't want to give up being young and going out and being in the club. So I was left with my grandmother a lot. And so my grandmother was this woman who laid the foundation for a lot of things for me, first and foremost, just being Christ, right? So my grandmother was this no-nonsense little woman from the deep South in Florida who had escaped a lynch mob because she fought white people at a time when you weren't supposed to fight white people. And she had to be, escorted out of her town and all of that type of stuff. And she came up here, had her family, and she instilled in us not only a belief in Christ, but also a lack of fear, so to say, like a sense of courage. Like, if I fought against white people when I could have been lynched, y'all not gonna be out here scared of anything, scared of anybody. You can't come back and tell me what you can't do. My grandmother had a third grade education, was functionally illiterate, but was the smartest person I ever met in my life. And so that was part of my upbringing, though. Like, faith was a part of my upbringing. Community was a part of my upbringing. On my street, we all took care of one another. Nobody on my street went hungry. If my grandma told me to come in the house and eat, any friend I was with, they had to come in the house and eat with me. Yeah. That's just how we took care of each other. We had our own community garden. People, like, it was literally like growing up in the hood, but we were in like this oasis that never felt like we were in the hood. And so, that was a part of my upbringing. Street stuff was a part of my upbringing too. My father wasn't in my life, but my brother's father, he was a drug kingpin. He ended up getting spending a lot of time in jail. And, I grew up kind of what you would call hood rich, where we had a lot of money, but I knew that it came from ways that it wasn't supposed to. And, I remember once going to class and I had on a fur coat, and my teacher was like, I wear fur coats. How do you got a fur coat? Because I guess her mom, I'm teaching all these little kids from the hood, like, what are you doing with this? And I knew then, even as a kid, like, I can't say where this money came from that got me this coat, so to say. So it was an upbringing, like I said, that was very interesting, right? It was a mix of good, bad, the worst of things, the best of things. God was always at the center, but there was a lot of not so good things that I was witnessing and seeing too. But I think every one of those things that I just mentioned shaped me and allows me to do the work that I do today. So
what I'm starting to see, like especially in the older ages, it really do take a whole village to raise a kid. I ain't understand that back in the day. I'm like, nah, I only really saw it in my parents, but now I go back and look at like my teachers or like my grandparents, like, yo, they would pour into me and say different things too. And it's like sometimes when you just hear it from a different voice, like it'll like get into you, and it's like they really pour and make a way that they just say it in a way that you would just ignore it if your mom or somebody else said it.
Right. That village is real.
But I want to touch on, because you said your dad wasn't present in the house. Yeah. So did that like affect you, like when you were navigating, like trying to be a young man in your life? Like how did that?
Absolutely, right. There were certain things that, as a young man, especially being a father now, that I'm teaching my son that nobody taught me. Yeah. Right, because not only did I grow up in the house with my mom, my grandmother had 6 girls and 1 boy, right? And my uncle, he lived down the street, but he had like 9 kids. He had his own set of kids to worry about. So like I grew up in a house with all women, right? So that had an impact on me. Like I learned how they communicate. I learned how they moved, how they did things. And there wasn't really a strong male presence in my life until school, right? School was the place where I started to find like father figures and stuff like that. That's why, I always give credit to the amazing teachers that I had, and especially Black male educators, because there are so many little kids that's growing up without any type of father figure. And so my teachers had to become that. But him not being there, it messed me up in one particular way that, I had to let God do a lot of healing. Is it taught me to cut people off very easily, because for me, it's like if the person that brought me into this world is somebody that I can say I don't want a relationship with, that means friends and everybody else can easily be put aside, because I learned at a very early age that the disappointment of my dad means I just not gonna rock with him. I don't got nothing to say to him. I don't need him. And then I started treating people that way. And so that wasn't until I probably was like 22 or something like that where I learned, like, dang, this whole time that I just been cutting people off and replacing people quite easily and keeping it moving from people, like that stemmed from me having to learn to do that with my own father. And so our parents represent our first crack at relationships in any way, shape, or form. And so when that's altered, it will alter how you deal with people from here on out. And so that was a big impact on me. The fact that he wasn't there taught me, or at least it sent a message to me that I believed for a very long time, which is that people are going to always disappoint you. You can't trust them. And if they mess up, you might as well just be done with them, because I had to be done with him. Like I didn't speak to my dad from like age 14 to like age 22.
Oh, wow.
I literally made up my mind one day when he didn't, speaking of Newark, he was supposed to take me downtown Newark for my birthday. And he called me one day and was like, and my whole life up until that point had been broken promises from him. But I guess as a teenager, I'm like, all right, I ain't got to keep expecting this man to be somebody that he don't want to be. I just don't rock with him no more. And once he told me he wasn't taking me downtown Newark to go shopping, I was crying in my room. My mom got on the phone. She was going off on him. And I just told myself, like, I don't need my dad no more. I don't need him. I don't love him. I don't care about him. And I didn't speak to him again until my grandmother passed. And by that point, I was like 22. And I knew then, like, dang, I really don't care about this man, because the whole time that we were seeing each other leading up into the funeral and all that, and even at the funeral, I didn't say nothing to him, he didn't say nothing to me. We sit next to each other at the funeral, he crying, I'm crying, and I was like, yo, I really learned to not care about this man. But it was even bigger than him, because it's like, I can do that with anybody. Like, I could literally be your best friend one day, you do something I don't like, and then it's just like, I ain't got no attachment to you at all. And of course, I didn't want to stay that way. And so that began a whole nother journey of having to forgive him, heal from that. And he was helpful in that healing process, But yeah, that definitely impacted me, him not being around, for sure.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, like, was it stuff that you didn't heal from in your childhood that may had showed up later?
Yeah.
and your relationships down the line that you had to unpack later.
Yeah, and so again, cutting people off. That was the biggest thing. And I'll never forget, I was in graduate school. By this point, I had changed my career focus because, like I said, I was radio and TV communication major. By then, God had shown me that he wanted me to go into education. And I remember being in the program that I'm now the director for. Ironically, I was a graduate assistant there. And a woman by the name of Amber Henley, who was the EOF counselor there, she was kind of like my mentor, helping me get prepared for going into this career. And there was some students that did some stuff that I didn't like. And I was like, just kick them out the program. And she was like, well, no, it's not that easy. Like, you got to give people, grace. Like, they messed up. And I'm like, nah, ain't no messed up. They not doing what they supposed to do. They got to go.
About it.
And she was like, yo, if you're really trying to go into this field, you got to learn how to operate with compassion. Like, students are going to mess up. You're a student that we've had, you messed up. We gave you second chances. And so it was like, she was the person who really called me out on that. And because her background is, she's a licensed therapist and counselor, and she has her own practice outside of what she does in higher ed, she was able to really speak to that. And she was my EOF counselor. So she knew my trauma. She knew some of the stuff that she's like, that cutting people off, it has to stop. Like, you're not going to be effective in this kind of work. If your mindset is, I cut people off when they disappoint me, like, then you're not going to be good for this. And I knew for a fact I really wanted to do that. But God was showing me in that moment, if you want to do this well, you're going to have to heal from this. And that was the beginning of that healing process for me. Like, it had started the year before with my dad, but when she really drove it home, then it really made me say, all right, I got to work on this a lot faster, because I can't keep moving this way where I'm just treating people like they're replaceable. And one of the things that I teach people now is everybody not replaceable. There's some people you're gonna cut off that you were not supposed to cut off. There's some people, some of us have been those people. Some people have cut us off. We like, oh, you just messed yourself up. You have no idea how God using me to help you, but go ahead. You think you know best, do what you gotta do. And so I had to learn, like, everybody's not replaceable. Right? And so my mom had even helped me with that, because all in that same time frame, I got mad at my mom about something. And I was like, well, you don't got to come to my graduation. And she was like, do you hear how you sound? And I was like, nah, you don't got to come to my graduation. Like, I'm mad at you right now. I don't even want you there. And she's like, what if I died today? And I was like, but you're not going to die today. And she was like, but you don't know that. Like, I could literally leave this conversation and something happened to me. And that floored me, because I'm like, dang, I'd be no more good if I lost my mom. And I'm in my feelings mad about something, but because my reaction to being disappointed was to sever ties, I was willing to do that with my own mom, and she had to remind me, like, nah, like, we not moving like that. So, him not being there definitely created that type of wound for me that I was around like 24 by the time I healed from it. So, yeah.
Would you say, because I know the job you have now was not something you planned out to do. You wanted to go TV, but would you, of course, I'm a firm believer that God works out everything for our good, and he knows, like, the plan that we need. So do you think being pushed in to teaching kids and learning how to, like, be patient with them, really, like, you found purpose in that, or that kind of, like, saved your life in a way?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, on the ride up, I was having this conversation with my mentee Carl, who's sitting in the studio with us. And I was telling him about this assignment I did my freshman year of college in my EOF summer program, where they had us kind of map out our next 10 years. And so I did this project, and I don't know why I was at my aunt's house, but my little cousin sent it to me Sunday while I was on my way to church, like, yo, we found this thing you did. And I'm like, oh, snap, like, I was just talking about this thing. And literally before I went into church, or he sent that message before I went to church. When I got into church, the message was on how you allow God to, will you pivot when God shows you, like, hey, I got a different plan for you, or when his plan for you doesn't look exactly like your plan. And that poster board that they found was a perfect example of that, because on this poster board, I was saying stuff. It was two things that stood out on this poster board. It was like, first we had to write, like, what our overall goal in life is. And it was like, I want to have my own TV show, and I want to give back and help the people from Trenton, New Jersey, from my community. And I want to help people that look like me. And then it listed my long-term and short-term goals. And my long-term goals included things like having my own TV show. I put on there what the name of my TV show was going to be, what it was going to focus on. But even the focus of my TV show wasn't just about entertainment. It was like educational entertainment stuff. Like, I always wanted to use the medium of television to enlighten people, educate them. There was a show that used to come on back in the day called Teen Summit on BET. And it was this show where it would be like fun, cool stuff, but then it would be like all this educational stuff, teaching kids stuff. And so I always had this love of educating people, but my personality and everything else was like, I love entertaining people. I love being, that guy that moves in that way. And so everything on that board was saying, I'm gonna have my own television show. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna produce this. I'm gonna do this. But then as it got to the later years, it was like I was gonna take all that stuff to then open up a nonprofit and do all this stuff in my community and help certain people. And I'm like, God has allowed me to do all of that. Because whereas I saw it as I'm gonna open up a nonprofit and do all this and I'm gonna help people that way, he's like, nah, I'm gonna just have you work in education. And even the creative stuff, like, outside of my work as an educator, I'm a playwright. I do a lot of stuff in and around the field of entertainment, podcasting, all of that type of stuff where it's like God has still allowed me to put all those gifts that made me want to even go and do TV and all that to begin with. And he's still allowing me to do that. Like, I host things, I do speaking engagements, I'm a public speaker, I do all those things. And so it's like, I'm putting that degree to use. I'm still operating in that world in some way. Me and you sitting here having this conversation is evidence of that. And yet I'm still helping the people that I always wanted to help. And so my plan looked a certain way to get to certain goals. God has allowed me to accomplish those goals with a plan that just looks different. And I think sometimes we get caught up more on the plan not going the way that we want, that we miss that we're still operating in purpose. If your purpose is to do certain things, it may not play out particularly the way that you want it to, but God will still give you what you're supposed to be doing, and he gets to determine how you do it. Sometimes we want to keep our hands on the wheel and be like, I like what you want me to do, but I want you to let me do it this way. And God is like, nah, that's not how that works. And so finding that poster, it's like, dang, like I really did had this mapped out a certain way, but God has still allowed me to do all of that stuff that I listed there. It just don't look like that way that I had it mapped out. So
Right. Now, because I feel like I'm in that place that you already overcame. And it's just a place of having a plan that you figured like, this is like, so me, I had a whole plan A. I ain't never had no plan B. It was like football, go to the league, like make all this money, retire everybody in my family, stuff like that. But then it didn't work out like that. And now I'm starting to like get into other things, and I literally like just see God like opening doors, directing me, but it's uncomfortable because when you're in a place of this not what I thought, and so it's like you try to get out of your own head and think like, well, am I like failing? Am I like not? Did I miss my like window to like make it or whatever? So what would you tell somebody in a position who may feel like who God is showing them like, hey, like your plan is not what I have for you, and like he literally just came in and like took them a whole different way, and they may feel like they're in a place where they're stuck, not making much movement. Not that they're about to quit, but they just feel like all hope is lost. So what would you say to a person like that?
I would say you got to mourn the loss, right? Because when we have a plan and God shifts us to something else, we lost something, right? I wanted to do it this way, right? So even in the Bible, right, when Samuel, who had anointed Saul to be king and do all this stuff, and when God takes Saul's anointing away, Samuel mourns that, right? Because that was the plan. God, it was supposed to be Saul. And Samuel mourns it, and then God has to say, you've mourned long enough. How much longer are you going to cry for Saul? I need you to get up and go anoint David.
Right.
So when we lose opportunities, when dreams that we had get shifted, it's okay to mourn those things, right? I think what we tend to do, especially as believers, we try to come up with like the little religious jargon, like, all right, God's will, I trust it, but you mourning something. Like, that ain't what you wanted. Like, you wanted to go play football. I wanted to be on TV. And so when the shift happens and God gives you a different plan, it's okay to mourn that. It's okay to accept that God is giving me something different. I may not like it. I may not understand it. And so I think the first thing you got to do is really mourn that. Like, you got to, because that begins the acceptance phase and the healing phase, and then you being able to really go after what God wants you to go after. Some of us have had dreams since we were kids. So then when you put your whole life, like if you was trying to go to the league, that means I've been playing football. I've been setting myself up. I don't, when you went to Ohio State, I went to the best schools to do all this to set myself up. And now God, you telling me I can't have that? And I'm supposed to just be like, all right, show me what the next thing is. Nah, like I got to mourn that, right? Because that's something that I really wanted. That's something that I really believed for myself. And I put in blood, sweat, and tears. It ain't just like, some people got dreams that they ain't even put no effort in. So when God shifted, it's like,
it's like,
and even for, if I'm being quite honest, even for myself, right? Like, it was easier for me to shift because even while I was in school, all the opportunities and things that I was doing was about like helping people and like I had wrote down on that list short-term goals like join a radio station, do these. I did none of that stuff. Join a television station. I did none of that stuff. So for me, it was an easier shift because it was like I ain't even really pour into this. Like, yeah, I gotta let it go. Are you sure, God? But I ain't really pour into it. Like for somebody that literally went to school to play football, in that gym, on that turf, or doing all this stuff, right? You do have to mourn that, right? God, like this was something I really wanted. I know you have something better for me, but right now, I ain't feeling this, right? You can be honest with God, right? Jesus models that for us in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? You know, God, I know I've been preaching this for 3 years that I'm gonna get on that cross, but right now I got some doubts, I got some questions. I don't know if I really want to get on there. So if Jesus did that, and and who we're supposed to be like, and we're supposed to model ourselves after Christ, like it's okay to let God know, like I'm not happy with this plan that you're shifting me, right? But I trust you enough because of what you've shown me in my life, that even though I ain't that happy with this plan right now, I know that what you got for me is better for me, and so now I just need the help in trusting, because what we can do is try to continue to move and do things our way. And this is what I've learned through my story, right? The Bible says if you seek God first, he'll give you the desires of your heart, right? Which means there are certain things that aren't bad desires that God's like, I'm still going to give you that. Yeah. And there are certain, he got to give us new desires in some cases. But because I obeyed and went into education first and did what he called me to do as far as going into this field and helping people, he's given me every other desire, right? So when I wrote my first play, for most playwrights, you got to get a theater, you got to pay for insurance, you got to find actors, you got to do all of this stuff. I had to worry about none of that because all I had to do was say, hey, Black Student Union, do y'all want to do a play for Black History Month? I put my play on. It was students who were theater majors who need to get this type of experience under their belt. So because I took care of what God called me to take care of first, which was going into education, every endeavor that I've had outside of education has always been fed on a college level in some way. So again, my first play, I ain't had to rent no theater because the Black Student Union rented that for me. It was a Black History Month. They wanted to put this on. I was like, we could do this. I ain't had to pay for no actors. I found students to do that. And so then schools just started calling me in to do the play. So for 16 years, primarily, I've been able to have supplemental income doing my play for colleges. Like I've never had to really come out of my own pocket to get money back. I just get paid to do stuff like theaters get booked for free. That, you know what I'm saying? So it's been a blessing. When I wrote my first book of poetry, one of my friends who worked in higher ed was like, I want you to do a book release here. I buy such and such copies of your book and give them to the students. Wow. So because I took care of what God needed me to take care of first, which was, hey, are you going to obey and go into education? Every endeavor that I've had that speaks to that communication side, he's always set it up where schools now call, hey, we need you to come do a speech. We need you to do a workshop. So I get to do all of that stuff in an area that I'm already working in, and people pay me to do that. And so, but if I would have tried to take care of that other stuff first, that could have cost me time, money. It wouldn't even work. And so when God is calling us to sometimes put aside a dream, he may not even be taking that from us completely, right? He may just be saying, I want you to reprioritize something, because the way I'm going to set this up, it's going to allow you to do all of that and some. And so you have no idea what God, wherever he's calling you and what lane he's calling you to step into, football might still be in there somewhere, right? And you have no idea how that may come full circle, right? He may, let's say he calls you into something to help out with young kids and and we know sports is a great way to keep kids on track. You may start coaching them in that way. Like you have the gifts, the skills, and ability as a football player that allows you to do more than just play football. You could teach the sport. You could coach people through the sport. You can do so much with it that goes beyond just playing it. And so sometimes we just gotta let God, we gotta surrender that to God, mourn it if you need to, and then he'll give you the playbook from there on out.
Yeah, I think a verse, I don't know the verse verbatim, but I think it's definitely like, seek ye first the kingdom, and I add all these things unto you.
Added unto you, yeah.
And that's definitely was evident just by your yes, like just being obedient. And I be seeing that too. It's like if you just be obedient in one thing, but you may feel it like you be feeling like, yo, but it's hard to say yes, like, and I think that's something people don't really talk about, like the uncomfortableness of like a yes. It's like it's easy to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna just obey God, but it's like when he be asking something that's you like really like love or like you really like have come comfortable with to just say like, all right, God, like finally. And then, but I think that's the thing that people need to just hit that switch. And then like, once you say yes, like everything literally just comes.
And it's the one yes can open up 17 doors that would have stayed locked if you said no.
Right.
And so I'm witnessing that all the time with me and with other people where I'll be like, just say yes.
Right.
And they're like, nah, man, they've been fighting God on it for years. And then they said yes. And then God accelerated things for them. Like 5 years that you wasted doing this, God recouped and accelerated that in a 2-month span for some people just because they said yes. And God will shut certain doors that he know you will say yes to, that he don't need you to say yes to. Because literally, like, my high school yearbook says Reggie plans to go to Temple University, major in broadcast journalism. I got accepted to Temple. I knew I was going to Temple. I was going to be in Philly. That was going to be it. That I'm doing that. I'm going to be on Power 99 FM, or I'm going to be right. I knew that was my goal. Ain't nobody telling me different. Temple would not give me the money that I needed to go. My mom was very clear. Like, I ain't got no extra $7, because even in the loans that they gave me, it still was like $7,000 I was going to have to come up with. And my mom was like, I ain't doing it. I'm not giving nobody no $7. And somebody like, go to Rider. They got this EOP program. You can still major in radio and TV communication. I'm like, but it ain't Temple. And I go to Rider, fall in love with the place after about second semester freshman year. First semester, I still was like, maybe I should transfer to Temple. But I say all that to say, I go to Rider. God shows me what my true purpose is, because I became a peer counselor. And then it was like, I got to do this. I got to work in higher ed. That was the thing that changed everything for me. But also at Rider, I met my wife. So now, because of me saying yes to Rider and no to Temple, I got a wife, a family. I got more than just a degree. I found my purpose. I found my wife. I got my kids. But the crazy thing is, it was like 10 years after I graduated from Rider, my mom was cleaning out her closet in her room. And she was like, I don't know why I got this letter from Temple up here. And it was dated July 2001. So July 2001, I was literally in my summer program in EOF. And yes, July 2001, I'm that old. Right? Yeah. Cool. I already seen the look. So we gonna acknowledge 2001, that. I was 3. Yeah. See. That's why I'm good. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about right here. So July 2001. Yes. I'm 43.
But you look like
thank you 23. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
For real.
Appreciate that. But July 2001, they sent this letter. My mom told me about it in like 2011, 2012. Like, hey, this letter got sent from Temple, and I'm like, oh, July. I was at my summer program for EOF, because we had to go into a summer program. And for whatever reason, even in the summer program, I still was close to home. She could have called on the phone and been like, yo, this letter from Temple came. But for some reason, she, I guess, I don't know, her mom's like, oh, he already at school, he ain't at Temple. She put it away. But when I opened the letter 10 years later, it was literally them asking me for more information so they could provide me with like a scholarship or more money.
Wow.
And God knew that my mom had to not ever give me that letter, because if she would have read that letter to me over the phone or I would have came home, I'd have been like, all right, let me get them the information so I can go to Temple. And then I wouldn't be here on this podcast with you. I wouldn't be having the life that I currently have. I wouldn't be able to do the things that, I'm able to do for people. And so God will shut down, block, close doors, do whatever he can to keep you on the path that he wants you to be on. But we'll sometimes fight against all that. And so, but God knew 18-year-old me, if I would have opened that letter and they said, hey, we need some more information so we can try to find you some aid, I'd have been out. Wow. And my life would not look like what it's looking like now.
Yeah. So, yo, that's insane. But but I'm glad you touched on EOF, because I was gonna go there, because I want to know, like, how do you go from, well, I know it's a long journey, but how do you go from Trenton to being a doctor? Like, it's like, yo, then the steps in between, like how'd you do that?
So here's the thing. Trenton is the reason, or one of the reasons why I could call myself Dr. Walker, right? Because I think a lot of times, particularly when you're from certain environments, people, they highlight the negative and all of that type of stuff. But God knew to have me be born in Trenton, New Jersey. And it's Trenton that really played a huge role in my educational aspirations, right? I was talking to your mom out there a little earlier. Like, I was in this gifted and talented program that they had in Trenton. And it was an amazing program. And it was at this school called P.J. Hill. P.J. Hill, which full name was Patton J. Hill, is named after the first black man that was ever principal of an integrated school in the United States. And he's from Trenton, from my area, right? So the school that I went to was rich in history. We sang Lift Every Voice and Sing instead of the national anthem. Like that was our thing. So I was a kid that was 8, 9 years old knowing the, black national anthem. I was at the elementary school named after the first black principal of an integrated school. And then my middle school was named after the family that fought to integrate the school system 10 years before Brown versus the Board of Education. So my middle school was named after the Hedgepeth and Williams family that integrated schools in Trenton 10 years before the Supreme Court ruled, and they actually used that case. And so this is things that I always knew in Trenton. We always knew our history. We always knew. So our bridge says Trenton makes the world takes, and a lot of people be laughing at that, like, what that mean? And it's like, I knew the history of my city, and it was rich with amazing people who did amazing things. Like, you know what I'm saying? The first black mayor of New York City, Mayor David Dinkins, is from Trenton, New Jersey, right? And so there was a rich history in my city of people who before me were doctors, lawyers, all that things. So I never looked at myself like, yo, I'm gonna be one of the few people from Trenton that's coming out of here and making it. No, it was thousands of people before me. I got friends who got their doctorates before me. I got friends who are medical doctors, right? Like, so I seen greatness coming out of my city, which is why I said it's so dope that God placed me in Trenton. Because I could say I seen all this other stuff, but I've also seen greatness. I was raised up under it. I grew up with it. And so, I got one of my friends who would like joke a lot, like, you probably like the first doctor from Trenton. I'm like, nah, like that sounds funny, but like I ain't. Like it's been so much that has happened before me, and that inspired me. Like I always knew about these amazing people that left my city and did these amazing things, you know what I'm saying? So like, family members, things like that. So like I seen and witnessed people from my city do great things. One of my, play cousins, because our families are so close, we grew up on the same street, is Troy Vincent, you know what I'm saying, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles. And we saw that as a kid, like, yo, Troy went to the league. Like, Troy went to the NFL. Like, Greg Grant, who played for the NBA, grew up in my neighborhood. There was a park named after him. So, like, I grew up seeing dope things from dope people from Trenton. So it just inspired me. Like, I never looked at myself like, I got to be the one from Trenton, because there was so many other people before me. So yeah, like for me, like Trenton has been a huge part of me even becoming Dr. Walker, because I got to see people take that journey before I ever decided to take that journey. So,
she was already inspired. Like.
Yeah. So, and it was those people from Trenton that inspired me. So yeah.
You also said like how you become a father figure to your students.
I'm sorry.
Oh, she trying to get me together, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, she making sure I'm perfect. All right. I like this show. I like this show. Yeah, can't have me looking crazy on camera. I like this show. Okay, other side. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, she making sure I'm right.
How do I look? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's wild. She ain't even asked the host. Check on the host or nothing. Like, there we go.
Make sure it's posture.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard for me to sit up straight. I think I got scoliosis.
Yeah, they gave me a pillow, and so I'm like.
In middle school, they used to make you bend over, see if you could touch your toes. See if you got, I could never do it. So I self-diagnosed with scoliosis. I never.
Oh, you did?
I believe I do. Because if I can't, because ain't that the thing, if you can't touch your toes.
Well, yeah, but nah, so.
Scoliosis is the curvature of your spine.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I have a hard time just like sitting up. Like, no, I'm just saying.
Your spine is free.
Oh yeah, you're right. So all those people with scoliosis. But I just know that I have a hard time like sitting upright. Like I slap. I can't. It just.
Yo, I'm the same.
Go get it checked out. Like that's what I'm saying. Something, because when they would do that test, I always failed it. So something not.
And it could just be that you're just not as.
Yeah, nah, because they told me like when you stretching, you gotta like inhale, exhale, and then somehow your body.
No, they used to be like, we want to test it. Well, see, this is the problem. They should have never called it a scoliosis test. When you like 11 and they like, we test you for scoliosis and you should be able to touch your toes, and then I can only get to my knees. I'm now walking around my whole life like, dang, I must got scoliosis.
Oh,
Trenton, that's where Trenton failed. Whoever them nurses were, they didn't properly explain. They didn't properly explain that. They didn't properly explain that. They used to line us up every year. Yeah, see if you could say. And I'm like, I go in here. Come on, Ben. I'm like, so I'm thinking they writing on the thing like,
well, that's wild to just say like, okay,
wild.
like if you can't do it, like, all right, he automatically has scoliosis, opposed to like.
I don't think they said I automatic, but it was like framed in a way like we testing you for scoliosis. Okay. You should be able to at this age touch your toes. If you don't, right? So since I couldn't touch my toes, and then they just write anything, I'm like, dang, I must got scoliosis.
Well, I think the whole, cause even when I went to go get a physical, and I went to the doctor, just cause I'm like 220, they'd be like, yo, you're obese. So it's like, what?
Dang, not obese.
Yeah, no, they said I was obese. But nah,
the medical community we see are feeling that, like, to call somebody obese that plays football and that's 220, that's wild.
And you know,
no, but you know, this man, everything about him says athlete. There's no way I would ever tell that man that he's obese. Like, what?
Yo, and the thing is, I was literally like, I was in the best shape of my life back then. So I was like,
and then told you were obese.
They say, yeah, so they said you're above
that's wild. That's wild. Nah, that's wild.
And at this age, you should be like 180, like.
That's wild.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
So the medical, I don't think they know what they talking about. Anyways.
That's wild, because as a kid, I don't know, y'all ever watched the show The Simpsons? Yeah. Like Mr. Burns?
Yeah.
So as a kid, I always thought by the time I get to be Mr. Burns' age, I'm going to look like that. So I just thought like it ain't happened to me yet, but I literally had prepared myself like by the time I get to be like 50 or 60, I'm gonna be like Mr. Burns. Like I just thought that was gonna be my life.
Yo, nah.
All because these nurses was doing that test and didn't properly explain it.
If I didn't, I'm going back to find them nurses. Like if they still alive, like yo, you did this to me.
Yeah, right. Like you got me really thinking I was gonna be like Mr. Burns when I got older. I was like, yeah, my back gonna do that. I'm just preparing myself for it, and the whole time. That's wild.
Whole time you're healthy.
That's wild.
Well, before we went on the tangent, I was gonna say because you mentioned how like you would have to be a father to some of your students. Mm-hmm. And I wanna specify it just to young men. Mm-hmm. So what do you think young men today need emotionally that they aren't getting?
One of the things I will say, right, because I think a lot of times we look at things through a very deficit-minded lens. I do believe a lot of men are getting the emotional support that I know my generation did not get. So I do believe there's been a lot of progress in helping men to tap into their emotions, to talk about things, to process things in a different way. Young men, a more diversified palette of what your emotional range is, right? You're not angry, you're disappointed, right? Yeah. You're not mad, you're hurt, or anger is a secondary emotion. So because you're hurt, you're now expressing that through anger, but the real thing is hurt. And so one of the things that I found still we can do better with is getting men to label their emotions correctly, right? And sometimes it's easier for a man to say I'm angry than it is to say I'm hurt. Yeah. Because to say I'm hurt means I gotta admit that something really hurt me. Am I going to be seen as weak? And so I think, for me, I do a lot with my students and mentees in getting them to label their emotions correctly. Because they'll talk to me about something and they're speaking, they hyped up. Yeah, you know what I mean? Shorty ain't call me back, man. Forget her like that. I'm like, you mad? But you really hurt because you really liked her. Yeah. And now that she's ghosted you or now that she's no longer interested, that hurts you. And that stems from the fact that your mom and dad ain't there. So people have been hurting you your whole life. And so now when people walk out of my life, when people let me down, I get angry, but I never tap into the fact that I'm actually hurt. And so people see the anger, but nobody's seeing the fact that I'm hurt. And then getting them to own that they're hurt, that takes some work. Yeah. And then once they tap into the fact that they hurt, then you can see them just start crying right then and there. And it's like, you needed to let that out. Yeah. But you've been taught to just only operate in anger. And so that's one of the big things is just helping them label their emotions correctly or tap into emotions or discover emotions that they're not used to articulating, right? Because it's kind of like we got 3 set things, and it's like, no, there's a whole emotional wheel out there that labels all of these different emotions, and you got to be able to sometimes pinpoint what some of those emotions are, or you're disappointed, and that disappointment has made you angry. So that's one thing, is just getting them to label their emotions correctly, and just to continue to provide safe spaces for them where they can be emotionally free without feeling judged or being ridiculed. And I think, but I do think that there's been a lot of progress made in terms of helping young men tap into their emotions, therapy, and getting them into therapy, and getting them to utilize therapeutic services has been the fight, and that's been getting a little better. But I do think we still got some ways to go.
I don't want to get too deep into this next question, but I know it's something that I'm not sure if you do it anymore, but it was your masking workshop. You still do it? I
still do it. Yeah.
Okay. And I just want to know, doing the workshop, because you came and did it for us one time, and it really opened my mind to a whole different thing. Like, I'm like, dang, I've been wearing a mask for maybe like the longest. From the time that you started it until now, do you think that social media has made like masking worse?
Yeah. So even there's a part in my masking workshop where I literally would tell people, depending on what the mask is that they wear, because I don't even know if the workshop that I did for y'all, I think, did y'all come up with your own mask, or did I tell y'all what the masks were? Because now in the workshop, I literally have named masks, and people get to go, okay, I see myself in this one, this one, this one. But one of the things that I tell people is, like, for some people, you do have to come off social media.
Yeah.
Right? And I say this a lot, especially to young people. We talked about saying congratulations to the graduates. But I tell people, sometimes when you come off graduation, after you post your graduation pics, it might be time to take a break, because what can happen is you'll see all your other peers posting a new job, new apartment, new car, grad school. And if that hasn't happened for you yet, you like, well, dang, I got my degree. Why I don't got that? Where's my new job? Where's my new? And sometimes you have to take a serious break. So you don't allow yourself to get caught up in what everybody else is doing. And then you start masking to try to keep up with everybody else. And you start trying to live a life that should reflect where you're supposed to be. And this is where, I've seen students where it's like, you struggling, but you done went and got you a car.
Yeah.
So you could just show people like, yeah, I'm winning too in life. And it's like, you're not really winning, but you're really trying to keep up. And then now you're in debt and you're messing yourself up. And so social media has played a huge role in people masking. There's people I know that their social media persona, and I'm like, it's two different people. Okay, like, that's what you want people to believe about you. Okay. Yeah. Because we feel like we have to. We have to construct our lives in such a way. So social media definitely does not help. And that's why sometimes it's good to take a social media break.
Yeah, that's how I be feeling. That gonna be so overwhelming. Like, cause it'll be like, especially now, it's like always, and they'll always send you the stuff that you like. Cause I guess it keep track, like analytics, it keep track of what you're doing. So it's like, you like one post, cause it's like, dang, I related to that in the season though. But now they sending it back and like they just throw it at you, and I'm like, dang, like every day I get on here, y'all always talk about how I need to be this by 30 and all this other stuff. I'm like, dang, I ain't even that yet. Like, I'm still like.
and a lot of people that claim they are, they ain't even that yet. Like, it's people taking pictures in other people's cars, posting it like it's theirs. It's people posted up in other people's houses. And then you're looking at that going, dang, I ain't arrived yet. And that person doing worse than you.
and they just got it right. They're not bummed, but like, they doing bad too. It's like,
they down real bad, but they posting real good.
Yeah.
Right? And then you buying into that, and you looking at yourself as less, and you're questioning your own worth. And these people just are very good at constructing the image that they want you to buy into. And it's like, that's where masking really hurts you. So yes, for some of y'all, social media, taking a break from it is going to be a blessing.
Yeah. It's so oversaturated now too.
Yeah. Listen, and it's crazy because when I was sharing. Okay, I guess I'm gonna date myself again here. Gosh.
The sound
I was a senior. Crazy. I was a senior in college when Facebook came out. It's the whole. It's legit the whole. I wish the cameras could. I want y'all to see every face in this studio. They hunching over. Yeah. They got the scoliosis laughs, backs all bent over. Y'all doing a whole lot. Like, that's wild. Like, look at this. Like, it's literally every single person though. Like, it's not one person in my holding me down back there. But because I can't see because the light is so mine might be laughing. I just can't see because of the light. But everybody else is cracking up. I can't see Stefan, but I see his teeth, so I know he's laughing back there. So everybody's laughing. Like, that's why. So yes, I was a senior in college when Facebook came out. And the crazy thing is that, because I'm old enough to remember this, and y'all clearly are not, when Facebook first came out, it was only for college students. And not every college student could get on. So you would literally log on to Facebook to see like which schools got added to the network. So like if I'm at Rider and you at Fairleigh, I would be like, dang, I'm trying to stay in contact with my peoples at Fairleigh. I had to log on to see if Fairleigh Dickinson got added to the network. So it started out as this thing that was only supposed to be for like college students being able to stay in contact with one another because your friends were going off to all these different places. Yeah. And so it was this great system of literally just posting what's going on in your life. People just, and then it just started to morph. MySpace hit the scene. That changed everything because MySpace was never about, you know, college students connecting. It was just about people being able to go up there and create. You got to create. You got to be like a low key, you know, graphic designer because you got to create your own pages. And then social media just morphed into this place where people just post to be seen, to be recognized, to become somebody else. It became a fantasy island for people where I could be in my room depressed and sad and crashing out and then go put up a post and show you a completely different version of myself. And so it's crazy to see what social media has morphed into, knowing what some of these platforms started as. And so, you know, that's the part that's like, sheesh, well, what is it going to look like 10 years from now if it's this bad now? Like, but that wasn't the intent. Like, it literally was just, I remember we would get on just to see what our friends were doing. Nobody was trying to be something that they weren't. You didn't have to come up with no catchy handles or names. It was just like literally a very simple, basic thing, and then it really morphed into something completely different. So
yeah, because once we got on it was Matt Holly Boy Aeropostale kick up from something Newsome, and I'm like, Chuck was like, nah, this is how you know it's me. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I work at Hollister. I'm a manager at Hollister. Like, oh, I'm single. Oh, I'm married now. Like, oh, I'm updating my relationship. Like, who want to be my Facebook wife? Who want to be?
Listen, it's a lot now.
Yo, we took that joint to the moon. I'm like, yeah, nah, like
but I even talk about like one of the masks that I give people to choose from, right, is the entrepreneur mask and the jack of all trades mask. And social media has allowed people to do that, right? I can go on somebody's page and I, you know, tell this to students all the time. You did one fashion show for BSU, and then you're gonna go put on your Instagram page model.
Yeah.
You
only got a couple pictures.
You took a couple pictures for your club's event. You're going to go put photographer, right? So it's allowed us to hyphenate and dash our names and create whatever we want. So you look at even college students, they'd be like student, model, athlete, photographer, entrepreneur, business owner. It's like, yo, you all of that?
Right. Like,
and it's like, yeah, because if I want to be all of that, I can. So nobody has to fact check you. You just go ahead and create. And like I said, I literally see it. Students, again, do one fashion show. They put up there that they're a model. You took a couple nice pictures with your portrait on you, or you got you a little camera for Christmas. You done took a picture of the sun rising, and now you're a photographer. So like people can create whatever they want to create on social media, and nobody's fact checking it or challenging you. It's your social media, and so we can construct lives for ourselves that, you know, make us more acceptable or likable or make us even feel better. Because for some people, it's just about feeling better. Every like makes them feel better about themselves. Yeah. And so if I just got 1,000 likes on this picture, you think I'm gonna go back and show people who I truly am and risk going back to an 11 like picture? Yeah. Because I remember social media too before, where you had to get to at least 11 likes before it just stopped showing people, because it'll just show you all the people that liked you. And then you would be like, please get to 11 so I could just stop showing me these 5 names. And then when you got your 11th like, then it was like, Then it hit it would say 11. Right.
You tell me nothing.
You couldn't tell you nothing when you got 11. Like, she would be steady scrolling. Come on now. I'm still at 9. Like, come on. It's going to show me all 9 of the names. Like, come on.
I'll like it myself and give it
And people just do that. Like, let me like it myself to get me closer to that 11. Like, all right, I've been sitting at 10 for a minute. Let me just go ahead and hit that like. Right? But that's literally how. Yeah. And that's literally people's esteem. Like, you feel different when you got 11 likes versus 100.
Right.
Especially if it's something that you really wanted people to be on.
Yeah.
Like, damn, you come back, like, all right, let me come back later. And that joint, you got that notification, you only got 3 more likes.
Yeah, I'll be sick.
And so we feed ourselves off of those things. And so of course people gonna mask if it's getting them the level of attention that they are desiring, and trying to get people to, you know, take that mask off or be more authentic. It's like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
All right, now I want to. It's not a big shift, but now I want to talk about marriage. Like,
okay,
because I've seen you as I think you're a very stand-up husband.
Thank you.
I've watched from Instagram. We was talking about how you could just be fake on that. I don't think you faking in your marriage.
No, listen. I believe I'm a stand-up husband too.
Yeah.
But the best person to ask that would have to be my wife, because that's the person who I have to be a husband to.
That's true. That is true.
And so she definitely challenges me and reminds me, all right, do this, don't do this. Like, you know, she's a real wife that, which I think every person needs, that spouse that's not afraid to sometimes hold the mirror to you and say, all right, step up here, do better here, Like, because I think, you know, I've watched people have those types of marriages where it's very superficial, and they believe that my job as a spouse is just to be your cheerleader, and not help coach you, right? Like, we're supposed to be able to have those conversations about the parts of our journeys, because, you know, I met my wife in college. We've been together for 22 years, right? Wow. And so who we were at that age in college, that's not the same. So you grow individually and collectively, and so as you're growing, there might be parts of somebody's growth that you like, I don't really like where this growth is going to, but I should be able to tell you that.
Yeah. What I want to know is, what do you think people misunderstand about marriage?
That it's work. I think because of things like social media, even like when I see people be like goals, and it's like, yeah, now am I going to get on my social media page and post, hey, me and my wife just had an argument tonight? No. So yeah, you are going to see us post our anniversary pics, post when we out doing stuff with the kids, all that type of stuff. But marriage is work, right? So that's the first thing. Like, you're not signing up for something that's going to be perfect all the time. It's like, no, and yes, you can have fairy tale moments, but they're still the reality. And I think sometimes people approach marriage with their heads in the clouds, thinking that it's just going to be a great day every single day. And it's like, no, it's work, but me and my wife love each other enough. We love God first and foremost enough to do the work whenever there's things that arise. And so, yes, do we have more happy days than mad days or sad days? Absolutely. But we have mad and sad days. Like, there's no such thing as perfection. Yeah. I think the other thing too, which is the big thing, marriage is not your wedding. Right? I think some people want a wedding more than they want a marriage. Yeah. Right? I know people that had $40,000 weddings and was divorced the next year. Yeah. And it's like, but you had an amazing wedding. Yeah. You know, everybody, it was great. It was, but the wedding is the one day.
For everybody else, right?
Right. And a lot of times it is for everybody else, but that's also that masking thing, right? Right. And you see that. Like, I got to show people that I got the wedding of the century. Yeah. And you got the marriage, though, that nobody wants. Yeah. Right. So y'all said I do, and then walked into a house that has no peace, that has no order, that God isn't even present in. But you had the wedding that everybody was talking about for 2 weeks. And it's just like, you know, getting people to understand that piece, right? That, you know, your wedding is a day, your marriage is every day. Yeah. And you have to learn to wake up every day and say, I still choose this person, right? I've also learned that you got to learn to accept the things that you don't like about the person that you marry with. Yeah. Right? Like, my wife don't like the fact that I'm cheap right now. But she gonna be like, let me go get a divorce because you being cheap. Yeah. Or I don't like the fact that, you know, my wife is a mom, like, all the way through. Even sometimes I gotta say, I'm not the kids. Yeah. Right? Right? But that's just my wife's personality, right? Am I gonna be like, oh, you just spoke to me like a mom, so I'll like, no, I'm not gonna blow that up and make that an issue that doesn't need to be, right? And I'll never forget, I had a friend, or I not have a friend who, her parents have been married for a very long time, and we were talking about marriage. We were in college and we talked about marriage, and she said her dad gave her the most simple, best like marriage advice, and she was like, cause she would see her mom and dad like, you know, have their disagreements, or like they just seem like, all right, my dad thinks this way, my mom thinks this way. So she's like, one day she asked him like, you know, Daddy, you and Mommy seem like, two different people. Sometimes. Like, how have y'all been able to stay married so long? And he was like, because I look at things through this way. The things that I absolutely love about her outweigh all the things that I don't like about her. And that's literally like what like my wife could say something that pissed me off, and I'm like, I don't like that about you today.
Yeah.
But the stuff that I absolutely love about you, it cancels all of that. Yeah. And vice versa. There may be things she don't like about me in certain moments. But what I absolutely love about you, it outweighs that. And so I don't allow my marriage to be ran on what I like or don't like, right? We're very clear on what are boundaries that we set and that we don't cross. But in terms of just things I don't like versus the things I do like, nah, that's not going to outweigh what I absolutely love about my wife, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love my wife. There's so many things that I love about her. For me to focus on two things I don't like, like that's wild to me. And I think people do that. They will heighten the things that they don't like to the point where now it's very unbearable in your marriage. And some of those things you got to step back and ask yourself, like, this just may be the person I'm married to, right? This aspect of who they are that I don't like, I can still live with it because it's not harming me. It's not harming the marriage. It's not going against any, biblical principles. It's just a certain part of their personality I just may not like.
Right.
But am I going to walk away from my marriage because of that? Or am I going to heighten it that it becomes so much of a problem that now I am willing to walk away from my marriage, right? So those things.
I have this question, and it's, how do you, in a healthy manner, demand respect in your household in a way that actually works?
Well, I think the first thing, I don't demand it.
Yeah, demand is a crazy word.
But I am glad that you said that, because that some people do. Yeah. Right? And I think that's where somebody, like, you're demanding somebody to, and I think for me, what I've learned, and this just is to me for anybody that's in a relationship, seriously committed relationship, and you doing it the right way, and you're married, like, there are some things that if you're with somebody who's also a believer and who has a relationship with God, like they're supposed to have a relationship with God, there are some things you don't even have to speak to that person about, because God will be talking to them about that. There are certain things, and I never forget, I went to like a couples night thing at my church, and my pastor was saying, like, there was this particular issue or something like with his wife where he was like, oh, I wanted to address it, and God just kind of told him to leave it alone. Yeah. And then sometime later, his wife came to him and was like, God spoke to me about this, and I apologize for da-da-da-da-da. And there's certain things like, yes, we have to have healthy communication. There might be some things where you're like, no, I really do need to say something about this. But then there's sometimes where it's just certain things where it's like, God will speak to you about that. The same way that he speaks to me about because God will show me sometimes, like, Reggie, you dropped the ball there. You didn't handle my daughter correctly. You are missing the mark here, right? So the same way God has to check me in my role as a husband, he's going to check my wife in her role as a wife. Yeah. So if there are certain things as it relates to respect, right? I'm big on respect, right? And so is my wife. And there are some times where if we say certain things, she'll be like, I felt like that was disrespectful. And I'll be like, hey, I felt like what you said was disrespectful, right? So we're able to communicate that. But there are some times where it's like, we allow God to, because sometimes I can be in my feelings about something that wasn't disrespectful. Mm-hmm. Just because I felt disrespected doesn't mean I was disrespected. Yeah. And I think the reality is we live in a world that says your feelings are real. They're real in terms of them being your feelings, but your feelings aren't facts. Yeah. Right? Somebody doesn't show up for you and you're like, oh, they not really a good friend. No, they just had something going on that day. Like, you don't know what was going on in their life. But our feelings tell us a different narrative. So just because I felt disrespected, like I remember one time I was like, felt something like, oh, my wife was, and then instead of me addressing it right away, God talked to me about it and it was like, oh no, she was legit in how she came at you. Right. So we could get in our feelings about things, and that's why I say, talking to God about your spouse is important, and also trusting that God is talking to your spouse about themselves and you. So I don't demand things, and I feel like and there's been times where I may have been like, I just wish you da-da-da. And it's like, if I ever got to get to a place where I feel like I'm demanding something, that means I need to kind of take a step back and readdress my approach and let God speak to me a little bit more. So like, yeah, I don't walk around demanding, particularly those things, because I think once we enter into that stage, and this is why I think marriage counseling is important.
Yeah.
Those couple nights that churches may do, and those things are important to keep you biblically sound in what God expects from you in your marriage. Because the world can tell you how you're supposed to operate in marriage. I've heard believers say stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, demand that respect. You demand, like, God ain't say demand it.
Yeah.
God already gave instructions for both the husband and both the wife. And if both the husband and the wife in their word, they're going to come into those instructions. Because if they're going through something in your marriage and then you get in your Bible, God going to lead you to where he needs you to take his word and apply it. So you don't have to demand anything, right?
Yeah.
There's no instruction in the Bible that say demand that you be this or demand be aggressive. Like, nah, there's nothing in the Bible that says that. And so have I felt disrespected in my marriage sometimes? Yes, and vice versa, right? My wife and I are very sarcastic. And this is why how you talk is important, right? Because she could say something and I'd be like, I felt, and she like, you took that too serious. I was only playing, and vice versa, right? But that's the downside of sarcasm. Sometimes a person may not know if you're being sarcastic or if you're really coming at them, which is why we should limit sarcasm in our conversations, because everybody receives it differently.
Well, I could just say, like, from everything I've seen, it always looks like you love your wife, like, wholeheartedly. Like, I always see just even the little things, like how you move, like, you let her walk first through the door, like, you introduced me to her. I was like, wow, like, he really, like, he really loved her. And just watching back from afar, now hearing you say it, it's like, I could attest from the small stuff that I've seen that you really, like, do live by what you say. Now, real quick, we got a fun game.
Okay. I ain't know games.
It's like it's a little abbreviation game, like,
okay,
because you know we had the pleasure of growing up in some black households.
Okay.
So it's just
things.
like we're gonna see it. She's gonna flash it to us. She's gonna tell us like the description. We're gonna try to guess it out. We can do it real quick. We do like best of three.
I like that.
Yeah, best of three, and then we good.
All right. So let's go.
I don't know if you guys will be able to see it though. It's small.
I mean, you can zoom in, like, just enlarge it a little bit.
Or read it.
Yeah, read it. So yeah, read it first and then show it to us.
The first acronym is BOAFFT.
Well, I meant like read the description and then show us.
Get up there.
And then
Don't block the camera.
the description is, this was said about you and your friends growing up.
Boy, I ain't one of your friends. Boy, no. This is what? Wait,
This was said
this was
about
said
you
like-
and your friends growing up. Bet.
B-O. What was the acronym?
BOAFFT.
I don't even know.
Yeah, y'all going that.
You guess what the answer?
He don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Ready?
yeah.
Birds of a feather.
Oh.
This supposed to be the black version. Ain't no black house say no birds of a feather flock together. It was boy, I ain't one of your little friends. I'm not sure, right?
No, but those are there though. Like, okay, go.
Hey, boy, you jump off the bridge or you gonna jump? Yeah, that's what I'm like. Birds of a feather flock together. What? I ain't hear that. Yeah, we gotta check the ethnicity of these people that put this together.
Okay, the next one is FYF. The hint is your mom would say this when you thought you was being ugly.
Fix your face.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Fix your face. That's fix your face.
Or she said it to me when I came in. Like, nah.
Fix your face. That's.
Okay, the next one is BISS. Your moms would say this because she knew she was always right.
Because I said so.
Ah, yeah. Dang, that just came into me.
That's definitely yeah. Stuff won't be making no sense. It be those.
Everybody's game right now.
Like,
Anything can happen.
Okay.
One.
So this one might be a little hard, but your mom would say this when you made her mad. IBYITW.
I brought you in this where I could take you out.
Damn.
You ain't even have to finish that one. You ain't even have to finish that
I
one.
said that this morning. Like,
Oh yeah, you ain't even have to finish that one.
dang.
I mean, I won, but we could do one for
Oh, we already got 3?
Yeah, it was best out of 3, right?
2-1. You got 2.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
Oh, it's best out of 3, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, I did mean 5. Do like 2 more. Or do 1 more.
Your mom would say this when you would talk to her when she's doing certain things. DYSMOTP.
D. Don't you see me doing something?
Close.
DY.
Yeah, what's the letter?
SMOTP.
Don't you see me on the phone?
Yeah, coming back.
Yeah, I'm back in the game. I'm back in the game.
The next one. Your mom would say this when you would use up a lot of the. Whoa. Your mom would say this when you would use up a lot in the house. DYPTB.
Do DY?
DYPTB.
When you would do this a lot in the house, do you put the bed?
Do you pay a bill? Yeah.
Oh, do you pay the bills? Oh, do you pay the bills?
You pay bills. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me see the, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, let me see the letters. Like, all right, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
The next one is, your mom would say this when you tried her. INOO.
I ain't one of your little
I ain't one of your
friends.
little friends. That's one I ain't one of your little friends. Mm-hmm.
I ain't one of your little. Yeah, she would say that all the day. That boy back a flashback. I was like, wait, hold on, like,
That was the I ain't one of your little friends one for real.
was that all? Oh, who won? We.
Who got the last one? I mean, technically,
He did.
yeah, he won a clean sweep.
Oh, he's a guest. Let's clap it up for him. Yeah, he did. Technically, yeah, he did.
Appreciate y'all.
Well, Reggie, that's all I got. I mean, thank you for coming on. If you got anything you want to finish on, like where we could
Thank
follow
you for
you
having
at,
me.
like if you got some stuff coming up, some speeches you want to promote, like the floor is yours.
Summer's usually is really light because I got to run a summer program, so hopefully I'll be breaking this summer. But you can follow me, Flyest Nerd, all one word, on IG. Dr. Reggie Walker on LinkedIn, because I know people need jobs and need those professional connections, so definitely hit me up there. Yeah, and that's about it.
Well, Reggie, thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
It's all
Appreciate
love,
it.
yo.
You already know.
I appreciate y'all watching. I'm going to catch you on the next episode, yo. Peace.
Here we go. Wait, can I get a picture of you?